Election day is November 8th. Polls are open from 6 to 8, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the last day for registering as a voter to vote in that election is October 18th. This notice will be on March's agenda, April's agenda, and May's agenda. I'd also like to make everybody aware that our budget hearing will be included in the April 25th meeting. I called the county office. We're okay with not having a separate budget hearing. So under finance, okay, our preliminary budget was submitted on Friday morning, excuse me, for review by the county superintendent's office. As soon as we get that back, then I can advertise, okay? But the budget hearing will be included in the April 25th agenda. The board will receive the documents within the next week, full documents on the budget, line by line, and a position control roster for your review. You will get the same thing I sent to the county for the preliminary budget. The last thing I have is commingled recycling at all of the schools, glass, cans, and plastic. Containers from the recycler will be delivered to outside of each building. By the end of this week, when the students come back, there will be the blue recycling containers that you have at your house. They will be distributed across the district. Initially, it'll be 2 on each floor. If more are needed, we'll put them in the buildings. But we're going to be recycling glass cans and plastic from, let's say, the first week of April on, and in addition to the paper and card. That's all I have.
Finance Committee, Facilities and District Planning, Mr. Schweck.
Yes. Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of finance, facilities, and district planning committee may so indicate now in a separate motion for each of the accepted actions to be entertained. I make motion that the board accept items 1 through 9.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinak. Mr. Musto.
4.
Mr. Schweck.
4.
Mr. Bruno.
4. Education Curriculum Committee, Ms. Alfieri.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of Education and Curriculum Committee may so indicate now, and a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I make a motion that 1 to 7 be accepted. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti.
4.
Ms. Alciuri.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinak.
4.
Mr. Musto. 4. Mr. Schweck.
4.
Mr. Bruno.
4. We have policy, rules and regulations, Mr. Abiscato.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of policies and rules, regulations, committee may so indicate now, and a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I make a motion that items 1 through 4 be approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri. 4. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinak.
4.
Mr. Musto.
I just want to make clear, we're not having the first reading tonight of any of the policies. Correct?
Correct.
And 4.
Mr. Schweck.
4.
Mr. Bruno.
4. Personnel. Oh, I'm sorry. Student activities and substance abuse, Ms. Jarvis.
Be it resolved that the Lyndhurst Board of Education approves bedside instruction for 3 students subject to state approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti.
4.
Ms. Alciuri. 4. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinak. 4. Mr. Musto. 4. Mr. Schweck.
4.
Mr. Bruno.
4. Personnel Committee, Mr. Musto.
board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of personnel may so indicate now, and a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, we move, make a motion that numbers 1 through 6 be adopted.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti.
4.
Ms. Alciuri.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinak.
4.
Mr. Musto.
The only question I have is, are we gonna change the wording for number 3 and number 4 to make it so that it's not disability, that it's just maternity-related paid leave? It's not a disability, right? So maternity-related disability. But it's not, if it's disability, then you have a disability income. If it's maternity leave, it's family leave act.
Okay, so we're gonna strike, maternity-related disability, all 3 words, in both motions.
And the reason we're doing that is because there are a lot of other opportunities for someone to make an application for a Family Leave Act, so we're just, there's no reason to put limitations on the motion.
Mr. Schweck. Mr. Bruno.
4. Okay, we have Mr. Trino. Shauna, would you like to give out the certificates now?
As Mrs. DeMarco and Mr. Bruno joined us up here, it's always a distinct pleasure at this portion of the meeting to recognize awards that are received by our teaching staff and, of course, by our children. So I'd like to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this evening, welcome young citizens, school children, to our Board of Education meeting this evening. First, we'll start with student awards. I'd like to call to the front Mr. Blake Spence, who is our Supervisor of Fine and Performing Arts, who has a few awards to distribute.
These awards are for 3 students who participated in regional instrumental ensembles. They're quite prestigious. You have to audition to get into them. They're a step above our county ensembles. So these students that were accepted into the regional ensembles met a few times each month with candidates from throughout the northern Bergen, Morris, Essex region. Our awards go to Dennis Allerton. Thank you. And Betsaida Oliveira. Very proud of their accomplishments.
Thank you, Mr. Spence.
Yep.
Mrs. DeMarco has some outstanding educator awards from the state to announce. Mrs. DeMarco.
So these awards are through the Governor's Educator of the Year recognition program. And just to be considered for these awards, you really have to be an educator, not only in your profession, but in your heart. So these are the teachers, the faculty members who are here earlier than most, that are leaving later than most, that are going above and beyond their roles and responsibilities. The nice thing about this award also is that it's determined by a polling of their peers. So, you know, to really be recognized by those people who see you day in and day out and who know you best, I think really carries a whole lot of merit, and we're certainly excited that these people were recognized. It's now up to the individual teachers to decide whether or not they want to go further and pursue recognition at the county level, so some may decide to do that, but that's certainly not a requirement. We're very proud of the accomplishments thus far. So in no particular order, but with equal merit to all. First award recipient is Christina Bernardo. And our second recipient is Teresa Brennan. Our next recipient, Genevieve Kyrese. Next we have Kristen Marin. And I think it's important to note before we recognize this next educator that educators take on many different roles. And anyone who comes into the presence of students in the school environment is certainly an educator. And sometimes this role of an educator is sometimes undervalued, but it's a huge one. And that's our nurses, Elaine Sika. And our next recipient is from Lincoln School, Dawn Spiro Egbert. This recipient is right here from the Royal Campus, Stacy Teller. And we do have one more recipient, although I'm not seeing her here, and this is one of our child study team members, Jillian Bernbach. Our sincere congratulations to you all. Thank you for
Mrs. DeMarco, thank you once again. Next on the agenda, we have the superintendent's report. Once again, it's quite lengthy, so I'm certainly not going to go through it with you. But I would ask you once again, please read it because it deserves the attention of the general public. In the superintendent's report, what I typically do each month is provide you with announcements of certain things that are extraordinary that happen in the district. And in doing so, you'll see certain events, certain programs, certain recognitions that are most appropriate, particularly on the part, once again, of students and staff. So thank you very much for the attention that you give to the superintendent's report. Thank you.
Any unfinished business? Any new business? Hearing none, I make a motion that this meeting is adjourned. We're adjourned.